Can we have your attention, please? Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We'll get started. I hereby call the 97th annual meeting of Belgrade Co-op to order at 6:30 p.m. We all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start things off with our current board introductions. Chad Bergman, Jeremy Hoppenkamp, Lee Tellerstrom, Isaac Hinnekamp, Isaac Anderson, and Justin Anderson, who was unable to attend this evening. First up will be Chad with the annual meeting notice and secretary report.
The annual meeting notice. The Belgrade Co-op Association announces its annual meeting will be held Friday, January 30th at 6:30 p.m. at Padua Pub. The purpose of the meeting will be as follows. Announce results of election for 2 board members, to conduct such other business that is properly brought before the voting members and board of directors. Respectively, Justin Anderson. Secretary's report. The annual meeting was called to order by Chairman Gary Meyer. Approximately 170 people were present at the beginning of the meeting. Gary introduced the board members. Board members present were Gary Meyer, Mark Walsh, Isaac Hinnekamp, Chad Bregelman, Jeremy Hoppenkamp. Not present was Justin Anderson and Lee Tolmsford. Mark Walsh read off the annual meeting notice and secretary report from the 95th annual meeting. Motion made to approve report is read by Ron Pierce, seconded by the floor, motion passed. Annual financial report was presented by Carol Boland from Hennon & Associates. Derek gave manager's report, Gary gave the board report. Mark Walsh was recognized for his 12 years of service on the board. There was no old business brought before the meeting. There was no new business brought before the meeting. Vice Chair Chad Bregelman gave the nominating committee report. Ron Pierce made a motion to have unanimous ballot, being no nominees from the floor. Second from the floor, motion passed. Motion from the floor to adjourn meeting. Second was made by the floor, meeting adjourned. Isaac Anderson gave the invocation before the meeting. That was it.
Are there any additions or corrections to the secretary report? If not, can I have a motion to approve as read? The second? Motions are made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Next up, we have Carol Boland from Hennon & Associates, who will give the annual audit report.
Does it work? It works. Okay, thank you for inviting me to your annual meeting, and if we're going through your financial reports. And if you'd like to follow along, we'll start with the statement of operations on page 4. First columns for this year compared to a year ago. So your total sales were a little over 48 million, which were up about 3 million. Cost of sales were 39 million, and you subtract that from your sales, and you had a gross margin of 8.8 million, which was an increase of about 440,000. And from the gross margins, you have some expenses. First are the personnel expenses. and they were 4.5 million, which were up about 525,000. General expenses are the expenses of maintaining the buildings and equipment, and they were close to 3.3 million. They were up about 170,000. Administrative expenses of 750,000, which was within 22,000 of the previous year. Interest and other unusual expenses and revenue was a revenue of 980,000, which was an increase in revenue of 550,000. So you add these four areas up and your total expenses are 7.6 million. You subtract that from your gross margins and you have a local savings of 1.2 million. To that, you add the patronage that you receive from CHS and Land O'Lakes of 676,000. You had a net savings of 1.87 million, which is what was distributed to you tonight in your patronage check. So on the average, for every gallon of gas you bought, you had returned to you tonight about 9 cents. And for every gallon of gas or fuel, it was about 10 cents. And on LP, it was a nickel a gallon, so you had a nice return. And 50% of that was cash. So you had a good balance sheet or a statement of operations this year. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to page 3 and we'll go through the balance sheet. First column for this year compared to a year ago. First, we have the current assets, which can be readily turned into cash within a year, of 15.3 million, which were up about 1.5 million. The original cost of your property and plant and equipment was 25 million, less accumulated depreciation of 15 million. You had a book value of 8.8 million. Right of use asset, that is your lease equipment that you have of a floater and a case, trident and a sprayer of 171,000. And then your investments with cooperatives, mainly CHS and Land O'Lakes, is 4.5 million. So you add these four areas up and your total assets are 28.8 million. And balancing to that is your liabilities and patron equities. The current liabilities are due or payable within a year of 8.1 million. Long-term lease liability, that would be the lease liability that's due over a year of 105,000. And then the deferred tax liability, that's basically the difference between book and tax depreciation of 346,000. So your total liabilities are 8.6 million. You add that to your patron equities of 20.2 million, and you balance to your total assets of 28.8 million. So when you take your current assets less your current liabilities, that's your working capital, and it was at 7 million, which is a strong balance sheet. Also this year, just this year in your cash patronage and the stock returned to you was 1.45 million, and over the last 6 years combined, it was 8.1 million of cash that's been returned out to you patrons. You have a very good balance sheet. Any questions or comments on your balance sheet or your statement of operations? No, thank you.
All right, can everybody hear me okay? All good in the back of the room? Thumbs up? All right. Well, first off, I want to thank everybody for coming. So my name is Eric Paulson. I'm the general manager of Belgrade Co-op. It's fun to see the participation and the amount of membership that we get to attend this meeting. It seems to grow every year, and I'm excited to share some pretty cool things that we have coming down the pipeline here at Belgrade Co-op in 2026. So when we look at this year specifically, this is our 97th annual meeting, and the reason I want to highlight that is it's initiated a legacy that we're already starting to prepare for. So we're 3 years away from 100 years, and we have a lot of discussions in the boardroom on how many local co-ops you guys can think of throughout the state of Minnesota, throughout the United States, that have the ability to maintain that name, maintain that legacy, and be able to celebrate a century. And we've started to prepare a committee, and it's something for our membership to be prepared for, that we will invite participation from everybody too, whether it's artifacts, memorabilia, really building that legacy as far as our upcoming expansion project to celebrate on what's made Belgrade Co-op what it is today through that 100 years. So first and foremost, I want to thank our membership. We wouldn't have the ability to be up here today, celebrate this evening, another successful year in Padua, if it wasn't for everybody in attendance. I came here coming up on year 4 now, and it's amazing to see the loyalty, which I would say is a hard thing to come by in the world that we live in today. And it's truly an inspiration to see all the membership that support this co-op and wants to have a part in it to make sure that it's successful for the future. And I'm honored to be standing up here and being able to talk through all these things through the last fiscal year and then looking ahead. Next up, I want to thank our board of directors. So we'll get into the chairman's speech. Gary will share some of the news here over the last 2025 fiscal year, but when you look at a normal fiscal year, the expectation of our board of directors is they have the long-range planning. Typically, there's a meeting per month, and I don't know if you could count on 2 hands really how many board meetings that they have participated in with all the different changes, the different opportunities, everything that evolved in 2025. So I do want to say thank you to all the board of directors. It was a huge time commitment to get through a successful year in 2025, and I want to recognize that, and then I also want to recognize their spouses here. No different than all the spouses and everybody who keeps the home front going, the families. It's when we look at Belgrade Co-op, it truly is a family atmosphere. There's more than just our employees, more than just our board of directors, more than just the individuals out in the fields. It does take the full family to be able to put on years like this. So I do want to say thank you to our board of directors and their spouses. And then to me, most importantly, I want to say thank you to our staff. So to these 2 tables up here, and I wouldn't be able to have this privilege of standing here to talk about our success in 2025 and upcoming 2026 if it wasn't for the individuals in this room. It's a big deal when we get to employee milestones here in a couple slides on the amount of retention that we've had at this co-op, and it's really dedicated to serving this co-op and serving you guys as our membership. I know each one of you in a room can think of one person on our staff that is probably the reason you do business with Belgrade Co-op, and it's important for us to continue to maintain those individuals and retain them. We'll still continuing to invest and bring those services to you guys. So for that, I want to say thank you to all of our staff. It's been an amazing 3 years, and I'm looking forward to the future with everybody on our team. So with that, I've been here, this is my 4th annual meeting now, and Al Braverman puts this slide together for me, and this is my favorite slide. So if you look at the loyalty, the service, the business that's done with Belgrade Co-op, this is truly the territory that we service. And when I share that with new customers that are coming to us as an organization for business for the future, most people don't realize how big of a territory that we expand. So when you look at this slide, it's that green dot is Belgrade in the middle, and we go as far west to that Cyrus, Morris area. We go up north along Prairie. We go over to St. Cloud, and we go back down to south of Wilbur. So our running joke internally is that we cover everything between the Mississippi and the Missouri. And it seems like each year it continues to grow to that, where I don't think we're that far out away from that becoming a reality. And that's made up of the customer service that we stay focused on each and every year. So when you look at that bottom slide there, I don't know, it's hard to read, but every white dot or white map that this reconciles as a fun fact is our products and services, whether it be propane fuel, agronomy, precision mapping, soil testing, all of that. We cover 281,000 acres that your Belgrade Co-op touches throughout central Minnesota. All right, so employee milestones, and I think I have everybody here for the most part. I'm going to list all of these names. You'll see the 5-year category, the 10-year category, 20-year, and 30-year. And when you get to the world that we live in today, you don't find many people that exceed 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We have some individuals that work for our co-op that have exceeded 50 years in Belgrade Co-op, which is extremely unheard of. So with that, I'm going to name these individuals, and if you're in attendance, please stand up, and I would like to honor them with a round of applause once we get everybody standing here. So 5 years, we have Dave Cornelius. 10 years, we have Andy and Dan Borgerdine, Jackson Gregory, Steve Peterson, Keith Hessian, Daniel Kirkhoff, Tom Wendland. 20 years, we have Todd Trustine. And 30 years, we have Kent Sarda. So with that, could we give a round of applause for them? I know I can say this about him, and it might make him red in the face, but so Kent, he's been in our organization for 30 years, and I know I'll have to fight his wife over this, but I continue to ask him for another 20 more beyond that. And when I get to the point of retirement, he can make the same decision at that time. All right, year in review. So a lot of things happened in 2025. We'll touch on the news with the Painesville merger. We'll touch on some expansion opportunities that we created as far as storage. And then we'll touch on some highlights as far as volumes and sales that we have throughout the co-op. So first and foremost, when you look at our economy, the agriculture space, you guys can think of many different scenarios in your life that you wish you had more on-farm storage, or more space in the house for stuff, more ability to control your own destiny. So over the last couple of years, our board of directors, our leadership team, has put a big focus on, in the world that we live in today, we need to be able to control our own destiny. So we look at the logistics, finding truck drivers, getting product to and from. You guys hear more and more coming in the world today as far as allocation, supply shortage. All of those seem to be man-made, it seems like, more so than the actual economy doing its thing. But we put an investment to make sure that when it comes to servicing your guys' farm or your home, that's not an excuse that we can use as your local co-op, that we don't have the product or supply in the right place, and we don't expect you guys at the farm or at the commercial business, livestock industry, that you're expecting when you contract pricing, when you contract product with us, that you expect it on a timely fashion. So with that, we added 100,000 gallons of bulk fuel storage to our Belgrade site. And with that, so typically we have our delivery trucks that we've had historically needed to top fill. So we had our drivers climbing up on top of the trucks. I'm sure many of you have driven by and seen them out loading the bulk trucks at the plant. And part of this 100,000 gallon expansion for the future needs also includes the ability to bottom fill. So we put the priority. We've had accidents in the past. It's one of those things when you're going up on a frosty morning during fall season, it's pretty easy to slip on metal. And so we've made that investment, put safety as priority, and we're looking forward to servicing with a total capacity of 260,000 gallons of bulk fuel, all with the capability to load from the bottom without having to climb stairs. Next up, we added another 30,000 gallon bullet to our bulk facility in Belgrade. So we are at our propane facilities. We have 60,000 gallons of propane up in New York, and we have 150,000 gallons of propane at our Belgrade site. And so Andy Borgerdine has been in charge of purchasing and pricing our propane here the last couple of years, and it's been unique from the purchasing and pricing to all of our bobtail drivers, our bulk transport drivers that make this world happen. It's a world of allocation that we live in, and we put forth the effort. The reason I want to acknowledge that is hopefully everybody, whether it be your business, your home, your farm, your dryer tank, you don't realize the effects of that. And that means that we're doing our job behind the scenes as far as making sure that we're putting the proper investments to hold the material and being able to get it out and serviced in a timely fashion. We do foresee this to continue to be ongoing, but just another supply chain issue that we're trying to control our own destiny as Belgrade Co-op continues to grow in the future. All right, so community involvement. So we have a full hands-on deck when it comes to all of our community involvement, and I have some pictures here, a few highlights that we had throughout the year. So we have a lunch and learn event that we invite all of our area high schools to participate and come and learn about what Belgrade Co-op has to offer. When you think of a co-op, you think of everything agriculture. You don't think of necessarily the accountants that we have working for us, the office administration, the customer service, the transport driver servicing C-stores. That we bring up to 100 kids here this past year into our facilities. We get all of our staff down at our answer plot south of Belgrade, and it's truly a day spent just looking at our operations and the opportunities that come within Belgrade Co-op and within the ag industry. A new program that we created this year is Thank a Farmer. And this highlights from everybody from customer service, from Belgrade Co-op current customers, our member owners, and new potential prospects that this program is, we ask all of our area members to submit a farm that's deserving of a hot meal during harvest. And we were able to select a number of participants that, just to say thank you for doing your business with Belgrade Co-op, we had a group of, in that picture there, you have Rachel and Isaac out delivering hot meals to the combines. So that was a fun program that we got a lot of good feedback on. Look forward to continuing that in the future. And then with that, we have scholarships, local job fairs, really just participating in the community. I know Belgrade has the color run, different events throughout the school system. With scholarships, we advocate for every school that hits our territory. I believe we have about 8 schools that we have graduating seniors that we have scholarship opportunities for anybody looking to enter that business field, whether it be agriculture, accounting, business management. And it's really with the importance of how we can help them with that secondary education in hopes that that brings that local workforce back to our communities for future employees of Belgrade Co-op. All right, so our second annual Co-op Committed Loyalty Program, and I get this question asked a lot. So this is an event that we do over in Glenwood every year, and it's meant to get more and more of our business brought to Belgrade Co-op in different categories. So we focus a lot on if a customer does propane or fuel or agronomy with us, what can we do to make sure that we ensure whatever service they have back to us and then be able to offer that reward at the end of the year. And I do get asked this question a lot. This event that we put on every year is fully funded by our vendors. So our chemical reps, our seed reps, our propane suppliers, our fuel suppliers, they're the ones that donate the funds that allow us to put this event on without having that expense tied to the co-op, and really just an evening to enjoy. So up here you see a couple pictures. We had Marvin and Karen Rademacher were our winners this year. This program is meant specifically whether you farm 100 acres or you farm 20,000 acres. There's opportunities for every one of our members of Belgrade Co-op to be eligible to participate in this program. So when you look at your tables there's different postcards as far as what this program has in more detail. And if you have any other questions, reach out to one of your salesmen, Todd, Andy, anybody within Belgrade Co-op will be able to help answer any questions, because we are actively looking forward to 2026 already with these purchases. All right, so what I'm going to get to next is we're going to talk about an expansion project that we have upcoming in 2026. And you'll see as we go through some of these volumes, really the reason why we're looking at those expansion opportunities. So you have refined fuels, diesel and propane, or diesel and gasoline. This is lead. I would love to highlight every one of our employees. We have 38 full-time staff, and you guys don't want to spend all night listening, so I'll hit on the highlights. But when you look at our growth, the reason we wanted to continue to invest in that 100,000 gallons of fuel is So those volumes have grown at the farm, they've grown at the transport level. As our farms and our territories continue to expand, our gallons of fuel and gasoline have substantially grown. And the reason for that is you guys are having more horsepower on the farm, requires more fuel, getting across more acres, and our customer base is continuing to grow. So we've made that investment to accommodate these growing demands. Next up is our propane. So on the right, in the orange column there, it shows the volumes. And it paints a little bit different picture. So I'll tell you, by looking at this graph, you'd never guess that we grew almost 100 tanks in 2025, right? It looks like our propane volumes are down, but what's the thing that everybody remembers in that fiscal year, or that calendar year 2024? Did it ever get below 40 degrees in the wintertime? Probably didn't feel like it, and that's what affected our propane numbers. We've continued to have a 10+ year trajectory of growing tanks in the country every year, but it's really affected by Mother Nature, affected by your guys' crop drying. I think we always make the joke that it's when we have dry years for corn, it's a great year to be a farmer, not a great year to manage a propane business, but we'll take our licks where we have them to. All right, fertilizer tons sold. So our sales staff, we have an extremely young sales staff. It's led by Jackson Gregory. We have an aggressive team that, as you guys see at the farm, we continue to push more and more prepay, more and more farm planning earlier and earlier. You guys probably all get that feeling as to why is my seed salesman seeing me in August before I harvest the crop, and it goes back to supply. So we're getting asked by our vendors to make sure that we have commitments earlier, make sure that we have that seed in place to service your guys' farm in the springtime. So we fill up a lot of our sheds throughout the winter in that December, January, and it's based off of those commitments and those farm plans that we have throughout the late summer, early fall months. With that, our fertilizer tons continue to grow. It grows by adding customer base. It grows by being active in the farm, being competitive with pricing. I can't compliment Jackson enough. He's done a heck of a job on purchasing our inputs, our fertilizer especially. And if you get the chance to talk to him about ag markets or fertilizer markets specifically, he's one of the most knowledgeable guys I've had the opportunity to learn from myself. And I do want to prepare you if you have those conversations, make sure you clear out about an hour of your schedule because he loves talking about it. So with that, we're going to get into an expansion project coming up here in fertilizer that's really driven by these volumes that we're seeing. And then for our membership, when you look at patronage and equity, I'll answer some questions with this expansion opportunity that we have upcoming on how it affects these numbers. But this is truly what makes us enjoy working at a co-op, makes us enjoy celebrating this evening, is when we look at these investments, these earnings, these strategic plans that we implement. It's all with the design that we maintain equity payments, maintain cash patronage for our membership. If you guys didn't support our business, we wouldn't be up here having these conversations right now. And I will tell you that from our board of directors, knowing that we have this expansion project upcoming, we've had a goal of staying within 20 years of current. And by what I mean by that is, Carol alluded to it, that we retired through 2010, this past September, and when we look ahead at the 2025 fiscal year, that put us within 15 years of current, which the reason for that is we wanted to aggressively build that gap. The board has always had a goal of maintaining 20 years, and you guys can all feel we're in a little bit of a downturn of agriculture and a little bit of the fear of the unknown, hoping the markets come back for 2026. So we have been able to take advantage of a few record years, a few good profit years to catch up on some retirement equity. And then on the right column is our cash patronage. So if you look at the percentage, the easy way of doing the math, for the checks that we handed out tonight, we have $610,000 that are being turned out to cash patronage. So when you calculate your sales that you do business with Belgrade Co-op throughout the 2025 fiscal year, that check should relate to about 3.18% of the business that you do with us as a co-op. And that's something that we're very passionate about continuing and wanting to continue to pass out that patronage, knowing that that's the value of a co-op that we bring every day. All right, so what I'm most excited about 2026 I do want to take a minute because I dropped the ball right when I started this presentation. So when we look at this upcoming expansion, you're going to hear me say local a lot. Local members, local communities, local suppliers, local contractors. And with that, we use this upcoming expansion construction project as a way to really Belgrade Co-op put our money where our mouth is. And with that, we've made the transition to bring our banking to Magnify Financial with this project. And I do just have a couple of guests in the audience that I just want to take time to acknowledge. We have Heidi Bromanchenko, if you want to stand up, raise your hand. And then we have Nancy Roski up here. So both members of Magnify Financial that have worked with us on our balance sheet and allowed us to prepare to do this project and be flexible, knowing that we're supporting the local hometown bank that's in return supporting us as well. So I do want to say thank you guys for being here. All right, looking ahead to this construction project. So first and foremost, our main office remodel. So I have a fertilizer plant project that we'll get into here next, but it really starts with this main office remodel. And the reason for that is, everybody familiar with the co-op? We have our main office on the east side of the road, and we have our agronomy office on the west side of the road. And this fertilizer plant expansion we have upcoming is basically the concrete is going to sit smack dab on top of that agronomy office. So what we're doing right now is we're going through a remodel. So this footprint that you see up here is our existing main office. So part of it, that left-hand side is our main office today. The right-hand side of it is our current energy shop. So our goal ahead of spring of 2026, we have a tentative timeline of that April to May time window, that we're going to consolidate all of our staff at our Belgrade campus into one building. And what that means for you is we have 17 offices, so when you're coming in to talk to your sales agronomist and contract fertilizer or look at seed chemical plants, you're going to have the new ability that we haven't had before to walk down the hallway and talk to your propane driver, your fuel driver, and be able to purchase fuel and gasoline in the same building. We see this as a huge benefit for our business. We see it as the ability to improve communications. It's anticipated to be an open and welcoming concept. We're encouraging, as this project continues, that as members and owners of Belgrade Co-op, you guys come in and take a look at these blueprints and have conversations. And you can probably tell in my voice, I love talking about this. I'm excited for 2026, and it's a big reason I think you guys as membership of the co-op should be excited too. This wouldn't be possible without your support. So with that started the fertilizer plant. So we got the office all laid out. We have construction in progress all going. I can tell you the office specifically was selected, and it was selected by our board of directors, that all supplies, all contractors are coming from Belgrade Co-op members in our local Belgrade Co-op communities. And I think that's a big deal. We looked at the value that who made us, Belgrade Co-op, to what we are today. And there's a ton of local businesses, from carpenters, electricians, plumbers, that we're supporting throughout these projects in our local communities as well. So with this slide, we have some pictures of our leadership team, our board of directors. So between a couple different fertilizer plants, we traveled to western Wisconsin, we traveled to southern Minnesota just to get ideas, concepts, learn from the goods and bads that other co-ops have done with new fertilizer plants the last couple of years, and really bring that feedback back to the boardroom and take the pros and cons and decide how we want to lay out our new expansion upcoming. So with that, when you go back to the commitment of our staff and our board of directors, there's a lot of extra time and meetings that went into sessions and long-range plannings. And this is what I can tell you, this is about 2.5 years in the making on where we're going to be in 2026 and 2027. And I think there's an excitement in our boardroom and with our co-op employees. I'm looking forward to this. So that bottom picture is my favorite. So when you look at this fertilizer plant expansion, I'll list the details here, coming slides. But when we break for supper here, there's going to be a 3D model. It's in the back of the room, and it'll be at the center table. And that model is going to show you what your finished fertilizer plant is going to look like on the Belgrade campus in the spring of 2027. Be able to see the bins inside the roof. You'll be able to see the control room, the office, all adjacent to our existing fertilizer plant running a 2-tower system. And like I said with the office, this was 100% supplied by local contractors. There's 4 area lumber yards that we're supporting throughout our territory that are going to have product allocated for this project. We have J&D Construction acting as our general contractor. So they're a company based out of Montevideo, Minnesota that specializes in fertilizer plants and grain facilities. And completion date is spring of 2027. So you might wonder that, what the heck are we going to do if this is on the same property as our existing plant in 2026? So that'll be upcoming. We're gonna have communications. We're gonna have ways. We have plans as a staff to help work through that to ensure that our service stays at the level you guys expected on a yearly basis. All right, fertilizer plant. What to expect? So the left column in the blue highlight that tells you exactly what our plant is today. So our plant in Belgrade is 8,400 ton of capacity. It's 90 ton per hour of blending. We have a manual liquid impregnation system, so we go through anywhere from 7 to 10 products that we have staff running around switching pumps, priming pumps to get that product impregnated on the fertilizer. And I have this stat, and this is a credit to our staff. When you look at what goes through 90 ton an hour per day, the calculation comes out to be maxing that out for a 14.5-hour day. So our staff on a couple different occasions sent 1,300 ton of fertilizer through Belgrade on a single day. Our Melrose location on that same day sent over 300 ton out the door. So if you imagine when you total our storage of 8,400 ton today, we can at that rate, we can empty out our plant in about 5 days. And it's crazy to think because that's at the rate that you guys are putting the crop in at the farm too. And then our receiving system is 90 ton per hour. So what you're going to get with this new addition, and it's all attached to our existing fertilizer plant. So the same 8,400 ton, that same 90 ton an hour blending is all staying in existence. We're adding an additional 6,000 ton of capacity, a twin tower that's going to have a 250 ton per hour of additional blending. Both systems we're going to update to a fully automated system. So our existing tower today is going to coincide, so we'll have the capability with one control panel to operate fertilizer and load out both towers at the same time. And then with that, just that same calculation, when you compare it to 1,300 ton per day blended, say on a slow day, as we continue to work out the kinks with this plant, we're going to have the capability of blending over 3,000 ton per day. You look at Belgrade co-op capacities, we sell about 25 to 30,000 ton on an average year. And if you do the math, it tells you how fast this crop is getting put in on a normal year throughout central Minnesota. And the expectations are that we're servicing it at the time that you guys are calling as well. This gives us that capability. And then the receiving system will be an additional 250 ton per hour. So what that means is we're going to have the capability of blending 340 ton per hour and bring in 340 ton per hour with our trucks that we have in the fleet. And I want to share just one piece. When you look at this expansion, there's a lot of time and effort that went into, you hear other co-ops, other ag businesses, that they segregate their customers and what customer they want to go after. And that's not Belgrade Co-op. That's not how we want to grow our business. We wanted to look at this expansion, that whether we have customers that farm 100 acres in our hobby farm and that they do it part-time, or we have farms that farm 20,000 acres, we wanted to build a plant, be able to provide the service that both of those farms are getting their different value that they're looking for from us as a cooperative out of this expansion. All right, 2026, what to expect. So that all sounds awesome, but we're expecting hiccups, right? So what to expect from your co-op? Regular proactive communications. Updates on website, social media. So we have an updated website. Lindsay Brower does a great job of keeping that fresh, keeping it new with ideas, different concepts, real-time information, and then consistent, experienced, and knowledgeable staff. So one question that I get with this expansion is, do I still continue to work with the same person that I've always worked with? Absolutely. The same reason why you do business with Belgrade Co-op is going to be the same face that you see in 2026, 2027, and beyond. hopefully they have more service now provided to them, because our salesmen, any salesman you guys have met is expected to say yes at every request that you guys have, and we're now going to have the horsepower behind them to be able to support that from an operations side as well. And then also bring additional services to the farm. So one thing with this is we do expect to have some power down. We expect for some concrete, some disruptions in construction. So your salesmen, your delivery drivers, will be asking to service more at the farm gate versus standard what we're used to of you coming to the co-op to pick it up. We will be staffing ourselves appropriately and bringing in the line of equipment that we need to make sure that we maintain that service in 2026. So what can you do as members to help? Proactive communications with your sales and administrative staff. So if there's something that you know is upcoming, I know none of us can guess what Mother Nature's going to do, and it's dependent on that, but we ask to be proactive, work with your salesmen on farm planning to give us the best opportunity to service your farm at the level you're used to. Planning in advance to allow time for operational preparation. So as I'm giving this presentation, I can tell Jessica's already getting anxiety of what her world is going to look like for 2026, and she's a huge part of that. The more she's magical in many ways, but she's also human at the end of the day. So the more time we can give her to prep and plan, the better we're going to be for 2026 to have success. And last and most importantly, I ask that you have patience with us. We're doing this expansion with the intention to set up Belgrade Co-op to be able to serve your farm for generations to come. We're looking at this project of 5, 10, 20 years out, and we ask that you be patient for us for this 12-month period as we work through these hiccups. Know that we're going to go at it with the best intent to hope that you don't see a disruption in service on your farm, but we also want to be able to set realistic expectations too. So with that, before I'm done, I want to answer 2 questions. And the questions come up often on, okay, what happens to my patronage if this project goes up? You're used to getting pretty decent sized checks, both in equity and patronage. What's this look like now when we have this type of investment going up at Belgrade Co-op? And I can answer it with some intention. I'm unknowing of what that future holds, but with this project, we have intentions to complete it in March of 2027. So when you look at what we're upcoming fiscal year 2026, you shouldn't see any changes on your patronage, on how we do business, our earnings, what our patronage is based off of. This is anticipated to be an 18-month process, and it's strategically planned that way, allows us to spread out that cost to pay for this over that time period. So when we get this project done, the question comes up that, okay, are there benefits to this? Are there efficiencies? And we've dug into now being able to buy fertilizer at 15,000 ton versus 8,000 ton. There's better buying opportunities that I hope that provides a better pricing opportunity, but what it does is it provides us an opportunity to make sure that from caller number 1 to caller number 200, we have that ability to have the storage on hand to be able to spread out that price to our loyal customer base that makes us what we are today. So we do anticipate more competitive pricing with this. We also anticipate opportunities to become more efficient. We have applicators today with how many tons of fertilizer we have to ship through this plant that may have to wait at the edge of a field. We might have a line of trucks that has to wait to fill up to get out to that field. That we don't anticipate lines getting involved. We anticipate renting trucks on a short-term scale to make sure that we can service our patrons for this year. But we do see operational efficiencies as far as, do we need the number of trucks on the road that we have today to service, or are we able to turn those trucks fast enough to make sure that they get back to the plant and back out to the field? That gives us some cost savings. So to stand up here today and tell you that your patronage isn't going to be affected, I'm not going to stick my neck out and do that, but what I can tell you is there's enough efficiencies and growth opportunities that we see with this project that we are planning and going in with the best intentions to grow our business, create efficiencies, create better buying opportunities, and maintain that patronage level that we have today. And we do foresee a couple of years of needing to work through that and going through the hiccups that come with construction projects, so we ask that you hang with us there today. We're really looking forward to 2026, and with that, I'm done. I can already start seeing the faces kind of glaze over that Eric, you're past your time to talk. But please come up and ask questions after this. Stop in my office. My favorite time at the office is when I can leave the office and come out to a farm and have conversations. So I'd love to visit with you guys on these expansion opportunities and really what's upcoming for 2026 and 2027. So with that, I appreciate the business, and I'll turn it back over to Gary.
Thank you, Eric. I want to touch on a few highlights from the board this year. Eric had mentioned some of these, so please bear with me. In 2025, the board approved the addition of 30,000 gallons of propane storage and 100,000 gallons of additional fuel storage to our Belgrade site. Belgrade Co-op will return cash patronage to our members in the amount of $610,000, with patronage equity being dispersed at a 50-50 split. In September, we approved $848,711 in equity retirement, which was 100% of fiscal year 2009 and 2010. We are now 16 years of current. Through the fiscal year 2025, Belgrade Co-op has 323 voting members. To qualify, a customer or entity must do $10,000 in aggregate purchases. In 2025, we explored the potential unification with Painesville Co-op. Although unsuccessful, the excellent voter turnout and the results that came in from our member owners showcased the want and desire for future expansion and the growth that was communicated to our members. Looking ahead to 2026, leveraged by the strength of our balance sheet, you will see a significant expansion project which will increase our fertilizer capacity as well as increasing the speed of our equipment. We are also refining our operational efficiencies by bringing all of our sales, management, and administrative staff under one roof to enhance customer service and the overall experience for our members moving into the future. This is a very exciting time to be a member of Belgrade Co-op, and as Eric expressed, we ask for your patience during the construction process. Again, this year we have a retiring director. Chad Bergman has turned out. He served 12 years on board. The last 4, he was vice chair. Chad has been a valuable member, and we're going to miss his voice of reason. Chad, can you please come forward? I'd like to present you, on behalf of Belgrade Co-op, I'd like to present you with this plaque for your 12 years of service. Moving on, there is no old business. Is there any new business from the membership? There is no new business. During the 2025 fiscal year, the Board of Directors approved the utilization of a mail-in ballot process that resulted in 3 nominations from the membership to be placed on the ballot. For this 3-year term, there were 2 open at large positions to serve on the Board of Directors. Following the tabulation of votes, it was determined that incumbent Lee Tellisrud and new board member Matt Segar were selected by our members. If I could have Matt and Lee stand up. Congratulations. And before we adjourn, I just want to give a shout out to our general manager, Eric, for everything that he has done during a very, very busy 2025. So, and I just wanted to say we're getting close to a 100-year anniversary, and there's nobody better than Eric to lead us into that milestone. And so, Eric, thank you. This concludes tonight's business. Is there a motion to adjourn the 97th annual meeting of Belgrade Co-op? Aye. Is there a second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, Brenda.